Dr. Hyun-woo Kim stepped off the transport shuttle and onto Galactic Council Station Epsilon 7. The massive space station floated in the void between three star systems, serving as the galaxy's premier research facility. Hyun-woo had dreamed of working here since his days as a student on Earth. Now, at 35, he was finally here as the station's new xenobiologist. The station corridors buzzed with activity. Aliens from dozens of worlds walked, slithered, and floated past him. Blue-skinned Centaurians chatted with crystalline vegan merchants. Multi-armed Rigelians typed on floating keyboards while discussing trade routes. Hyun-woo had studied these species for years, but seeing them in person still amazed him. "Dr. Kim?" a voice called behind him. Hyun-woo turned to see a tall woman with short black hair approaching. She wore the standard research uniform with a blue stripe marking her as senior staff. "I'm Dr. Ji-won Lee, the station's chief behavioral analyst," she said, extending her hand. "Welcome to Epsilon 7. I'll be showing you around." As they walked through the station, Ji-won explained Hyun-woo's assignment. "Your job is to study how different alien species interact with their homeworld predators. The Council wants to understand behavioral patterns across the galaxy. It's mostly routine work, but important for our databases." They passed through several research levels before reaching the biodome section. Here, massive transparent chambers housed creatures from across the galaxy. Each dome recreated the natural environment of its inhabitant, from frozen methane landscapes to boiling sulfur pools. "These are our permanent residents," Ji-won said. "Apex predators from 47 different worlds. Most species donated them to help us understand dangerous wildlife patterns." Hyun-woo pressed his face against one dome's window. Inside, a creature that looked like a six-legged tiger with crystal spines paced back and forth. Its movements were fluid and deadly beautiful. "That's a Rigelian Shadowstalker," Ji-won explained. "It killed 3 researchers before we figured out proper containment. The Rigelians themselves won't go near these things. They evolved as prey species, you see. Their entire civilization developed around hiding from creatures like this." "How do you study it safely?" Hyun-woo asked. "Remote sensors mostly. Direct observation is too dangerous. The creature can sense fear and attacks immediately. We lost 2 Rigelian scientists and 1 Centaurian before implementing the current protocols." They continued the tour, visiting more domes. Each contained a different nightmare. The Void Hunter from Proxima looked like living shadow with too many teeth. The plasma worm from Kepler 442b was essentially a living flame that could melt through most metals. Every creature was beautiful, terrifying, and completely isolated from direct contact. "The interesting thing," Ji-won said as they walked, "is that every sapient species in the galaxy evolved as prey animals. Centaurians hid in caves from crystal wolves. Rigelians built tree cities to escape ground predators. Vegans developed their crystalline forms to blend with their planet's crystal forests. Not one advanced civilization came from a predator species." "What happened to all the predators?" Hyun-woo asked. "Nobody knows. They all went extinct just before their worlds developed space travel. Some scientists think it's a natural evolutionary pattern. Others believe the prey species eliminated them deliberately." They finished the tour at the station's main lab. Hyun-woo was assigned a workstation and given access to the research databases. His first week would involve reviewing previous studies and observing the predators remotely. On his 3rd day, something unexpected happened. Hyun-woo was analyzing Shadowstalker behavior patterns when alarms began ringing throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red as the intercom crackled. "To life, all personnel to secure positions. Ambassador Park is requesting emergency access to Biodome 7. Security teams to stations." Hyun-woo looked at his monitor. Biodome 7 housed the Rigelian Shadowstalker. He grabbed his tablet and rushed toward the dome section following a stream of security personnel. He arrived to find a crowd gathered around Biodome 7. Through the transparent walls, He could see a human man in diplomatic robes standing at the dome's entrance. The man was tall, with graying hair and calm eyes. This had to be Ambassador Taemin Park, Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. "Sir, please step away from the dome," Security Chief So Young Choi was saying. She was a compact woman with the bearing of a soldier. "That creature has killed multiple researchers. Our protocols exist for good reason." "I understand the risks," Ambassador Park replied, calmly. "But I need to retrieve the data crystal that fell inside yesterday. The information on it is vital for tomorrow's council session." "We can use retrieval drones," So Young insisted. "The crystal was damaged in the fall. It needs careful handling by someone with biological training. I'm the only diplomat here with a xenobiology background." Before anyone could stop him, Ambassador Park entered the dome's airlock. The crowd watched in horror as the inner door opened and he stepped into the Shadow Stalker's territory. The creature had been resting in the dome's artificial jungle, but it immediately sensed the intrusion. 6 legs carried it forward with predatory grace. Its crystal spines glowed with aggressive energy. Every person watching expected to witness a brutal death. But something strange happened instead. The Shadow Stalker approached Ambassador Park and then stopped. Its aggressive glow faded to a dim pulse. The creature tilted its head, studying the human with what looked like curiosity rather than hunger. Ambassador Park remained perfectly still, maintaining eye contact with the predator. He didn't show fear or aggression. He simply stood there, watching the creature as it watched him. Slowly, the ambassador moved toward the fallen data crystal. The Shadow Stalker followed his movements but made no attempt to attack. When Park knelt to retrieve the crystal, the creature came within arm's reach and simply observed. The entire encounter lasted 5 minutes. Ambassador Park recovered the crystal, nodded respectfully to the Shadow Stalker, and walked back to the airlock. The creature watched him go, then returned to its resting spot as if nothing had happened. The crowd stood in stunned silence. Dr. Ji-won was the first to speak. "That should have been impossible," she whispered. "The station's AI recorded the Shadow Stalker's behavior as an impossible behavioral anomaly. In 50 years of research, we've never seen anything like this." Hyunwoo stared at the data readings on his tablet. The Shadow Stalker's brain patterns during the encounter were unlike anything in the databases. The creature had been alert and focused, but not aggressive. If anything, it seemed almost respectful. "Ambassador Park," Hyunwoo called as the diplomat prepared to leave. "What did you do in there? How did you know the creature wouldn't attack?" Ambassador Park paused and looked back at the biodome. "I didn't know," he said quietly. "But when I looked into its eyes, I saw something familiar. It was like looking at an old friend who recognizes you, even after many years apart." As the crowd dispersed, Hyunwoo remained at the observation window. Inside the dome, the Shadow Stalker had positioned itself where it could see the corridor. When their eyes met through the glass, Hyunwoo felt a strange chill. The creature's gaze was intelligent, calculating, and somehow knowing. For the first time since arriving at the station, Hyunwoo wondered if his assignment might be more complicated than anyone realized. 3 days after the Shadow Stalker incident, Hyunwoo couldn't stop thinking about what he had witnessed. The image of Ambassador Park calmly standing before the deadly predator played in his mind repeatedly. He had reviewed the security footage dozens of times, analyzing every detail. The more he studied the data, the more questions arose. Why hadn't the creature attacked? What made Ambassador Park different from the previous researchers who had died? Hyunwoo needed answers, and he had an idea for finding them. He found Dr. Ji-won in the main laboratory, reviewing brain scan data from various alien species. Charts and graphs covered her workstation, showing neural patterns during different emotional states. "Ji-won, I need to ask you about setting up some experiments," Hyunwoo said, pulling up a chair beside her. "What kind of experiments?" she asked without looking away from her screens. I want to test human interaction with other apex predators, controlled tests, with proper safety measures. That got her attention. Ji-won turned to face him, her expression serious. Hyun-woo, we've established those safety protocols for good reasons. The Shadow Stalker incident was lucky, not safe. But what if it wasn't luck? What if there's a pattern we're missing? Ji-won considered this for a moment. You'd need Security Chief So-young's approval for any direct interaction tests, and she's not going to be easy to convince. Finding Security Chief So-young Choi proved simple enough. She was in the armory, inspecting plasma rifle power cells, with two of her security officers. So-young was known throughout the station for her strict adherence to safety protocols and her protective attitude toward station personnel. Absolutely not, was her immediate response to Hyun-woo's proposal. We're not risking human lives to satisfy scientific curiosity. What if we start small? Hyun-woo suggested. Remote observation first, then maybe proximity tests with multiple safety barriers. So-young set down the power cell she was examining and fixed Hyun-woo with a stern look. Doctor, in my 15 years of station security, I've seen too many researchers die because they thought they were being careful enough. These creatures are apex predators for a reason. Then let's make sure we're more than careful enough. Hyun-woo pressed. Full containment fields, armed security teams, emergency extraction protocols. If anything seems wrong, we abort immediately. After an hour of discussion and planning, So-young finally agreed to a limited test. They would start with the Void Hunter from Proxima, a creature that existed partially in subspace and was considered less physically dangerous than the Shadow Stalker. The next morning, they gathered in Biodome 12. The Void Hunter's habitat was a recreation of Proxima's twilight landscape, with crystalline formations and an artificial aurora dancing across the dome's ceiling. The creature itself was difficult to see clearly, appearing as a shifting shadow with occasional glimpses of silver eyes and sharp edges. Remember, So-young said as she checked the containment field generators. At the first sign of aggressive behavior, you step back behind the safety barrier. Hyun-woo nodded and approached the dome's observation panel. He activated the transparency control, making himself visible to the creature inside. The Void Hunter had been resting among the crystal formations, but it immediately sensed his presence. The creature moved like flowing darkness, approaching the transparent barrier between them. As it drew closer, its form became more solid, revealing a sleek predator roughly the size of a large cat. Its silver eyes fixed on Hyun-woo with unmistakable intelligence. Neural activity is spiking, Ji-won reported from her monitoring station. The creature is definitely aware of you, but this is strange. What's strange? So-young asked, her hand moving to her sidearm. The brain pattern is similar to what we recorded with the Shadow Stalker in Ambassador Park. High alertness, but no aggression markers. It's like the creature is studying him rather than evaluating him as prey. Hyun-woo maintained eye contact with the Void Hunter. The creature tilted its head in a very human-like gesture of curiosity. After several minutes, it moved closer to the barrier and sat down, continuing to watch him with those unsettling silver eyes. It's not showing any hunting behavior, Hyun-woo observed. Look at its posture. This is how it would sit if it were observing another predator's territory. They repeated the test with 3 more humans over the following days. A maintenance engineer, a communications officer, and finally Security Chief So-young herself. Every result was the same. The apex predators showed interest and alertness, but no aggression. We need to test with non-human station personnel, Hyun-woo suggested after reviewing the data. The next test involved Dr. Kethvar, a Centaurian physicist, who had volunteered despite his species' natural fear of predators. The results were dramatically different. The moment Dr. Kethvar approached the Void Hunter's dome, the creature's behavior changed completely. It began pacing frantically, its form flickering between states as it searched for a way to reach the Centaurian. Warning alarms activated as the creature began testing the containment barriers. Get him out of there, So Young ordered. Now, Dr. Kethvar backed away quickly, his blue skin pale with fear. The Void Hunter continued its aggressive display for several minutes before gradually calming down. That was a classic predator-prey response, Jiwan said, reviewing the neural scans. The creature immediately identified Dr. Kethvar as potential prey and entered hunting mode. They ran similar tests with Rigelian, vegan, and other alien volunteers. Every non-human species triggered the same hunting response from the apex predators. Only humans seemed to avoid being classified as prey. Over the next week, they expanded their tests to include other predators. The plasma worm from Kepler 442b, the crystal stalker from Vega Prime, the phase cat from the Orion Nebula colonies. Every single apex predator showed the same pattern. It's impossible, Dr. Jiwan said as she reviewed the accumulated data. 47 different predator species from completely different evolutionary backgrounds, and they all respond to humans. The same way. Not just the same way, Hyunwoo corrected. They respond to us the way they would respond to other apex predators. Look at the behavioral markers. These creatures aren't seeing us as prey or threats. They're seeing us as equals. So Young studied the security footage from multiple tests. In military terms, it's like they're acknowledging our right to be in their territory. They're showing respect. But why? Jiwan asked. Humans evolved on Earth. These creatures evolved on completely different worlds, in different star systems. There's no shared evolutionary history. Hyunwoo had been wondering the same thing. He pulled up the Galactic Species database on his tablet, scrolling through evolutionary histories of various civilizations. Look at this pattern, he said, highlighting data points. Every sapient species in the galaxy evolved as prey animals. Centaurians developed advanced tool use to hide from predators. Rigelians built aerial cities to escape ground-based hunters. Vegans evolved crystalline camouflage to blend with their environment. That's been known for decades, Jiwan said. But look at what happened to their predators. In every case, the apex predators went extinct just before the prey species developed. Space travel. Every single time. So Young frowned. You're suggesting that the prey species eliminated their predators deliberately? Maybe. Or maybe the predators just couldn't adapt to changing environments. But either way, every advanced civilization in the galaxy represents a prey species that survived by outlasting their predators. Except humans, Jiwan said quietly. Except humans, Hyunwoo agreed. We're the only sapient species that evolved from predators instead of prey, and somehow every apex predator in the galaxy recognizes this fact. The implications were staggering. If Hyunwoo's theory was correct, humans represented something unique in galactic civilization. They weren't just another intelligent species. They were the predators who had learned to think. We need more data, So Young said finally. And we need to understand exactly what these creatures are recognizing in us. As if responding to her words, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed as the intercom crackled with urgent announcements. Security breach in Biodome 31. Repeat, containment failure in Biodome 31. All personnel evacuate the affected sector immediately. So Young was already moving toward the door. That's the Titan worm from Kepler 442b. If that thing gets loose in the station... She didn't need to finish. Everyone knew what a plasma-breathing creature could do to the station's life support systems. As they rushed toward the emergency, Hyunwoo wondered if they were about to get an uncontrolled test of his theory. The question was whether any of them would survive to analyze the results. The containment breach alarm had been a false alarm, triggered by a power fluctuation that temporarily weakened Biodome 31's barriers. The Titan worm never actually escaped, but the incident left everyone on edge. More importantly, it gave Hyunwoo an idea about where to find answers to his growing questions. He made his way to the station's archive section, deep in the lower levels where the artificial gravity felt slightly heavier. The archives contained millions of years of galactic history, archaeological data, and evolutionary records from across known space. If there were patterns to be found, this was where he would find them. The head archivist was Minho Jiang, a quiet man in his 50s who had spent most of his career cataloging alien civilizations. His office was cluttered with data tablets, holographic displays, and physical artifacts from dozens of worlds. When Hyun-woo explained what he was looking for, Minho's eyes lit up with interest. Predator extinction patterns, Minho mused, pulling up displays on his workstation. I've noticed some unusual coincidences over the years, but never had reason to investigate them systematically. What kind of coincidences? Hyun-woo asked. Well, look at this. Minho highlighted a timeline showing the development of various galactic civilizations. Rigelian society began advancing rapidly about 12,000 years ago. Archaeological evidence shows this was exactly when their primary predator species, the great stalkers, mysteriously vanished. Could be natural extinction, Hyun-woo suggested. Perhaps, but look at the Centaurian timeline. Another display appeared. Same pattern. The crystal wolves that hunted Centaurians for millions of years went extinct precisely when Centaurian technology began advancing beyond stone tools. Minho continued pulling up data from world after world. The pattern was consistent and disturbing. On every planet where intelligent life had developed, there had been a dominant predator species that shaped the evolution of all other life forms. These apex predators had existed for millions of years, perfectly adapted to their environments, and then, just as their prey species began showing signs of higher intelligence, the predators disappeared. 47 worlds, 47 sapient species, and 47 extinct predator lineages, Minho said. The statistical probability of this being coincidence is essentially zero. Hyun-woo studied the data, feeling a chill run down his spine. What happened to them all? That's what I've been trying to figure out. Some worlds show evidence of deliberate extermination. Mass graves, weapon marks on bones, organized hunting parties. Others show no signs of violence at all. The predators simply vanished, as if they just stopped existing. A new voice joined the conversation. Maybe they didn't stop existing. Maybe they stopped being predators. Hyun-woo turned to see Dr. Soo-jin Bai entering the archive office. She was the station's quantum anthropologist, specializing in the study of consciousness and evolutionary development across species. Her work was often theoretical, but she had a reputation for making connections that others missed. Soo-jin, Minho said, we're looking at predator extinction patterns across the galaxy. I know. I've been monitoring your research requests through the archive system. She pulled up a chair and gestured to the timeline displays. I think you're asking the wrong question. What do you mean? Hyun-woo asked. You're asking what happened to the predators. But maybe you should be asking what the predators were supposed to become. Soo-jin activated her own data tablet, displaying complex evolutionary models. Every ecosystem needs apex predators to maintain balance. They control prey populations, eliminate the weak and sick, and drive evolutionary adaptation. But what happens when the prey becomes intelligent? The predators become unnecessary, Minho said, or they become something else entirely. Soo-jin highlighted sections of her evolutionary models. Look at Earth's timeline compared to other worlds. Humans evolved from persistence hunters, pack predators who used intelligence to coordinate complex hunting strategies. We learned to use tools, communicate in sophisticated ways, and work together to bring down prey much larger than ourselves. Most alien species evolved from prey animals that used intelligence to hide from predators, Hyun-woo observed. Exactly. They developed intelligence as a survival mechanism. But humans developed intelligence as a hunting mechanism. We didn't learn to think in order to hide. We learned to think in order to hunt better. The implications were staggering. Soo-jin continued her explanation, pulling up comparative brain scans of different species. Look at the neural structures. Alien species show enlarged areas associated with fear response, pattern recognition for hiding, and social bonding for group protection. Human brains show enlarged areas for spatial reasoning, tactical planning, and pack coordination. We're wired like predators, Hyun-woo said. More than that, we're wired like the ultimate predators. Think about human history. What did we do when we ran out of animals to hunt? We started hunting each other. Wars, conflicts, competition. We turned hunting into an art form. Minho was scrolling through historical databases. Human military strategy does show remarkable similarities to predator behavior patterns across multiple species. Pack hunting, territorial control, resource competition. But here's the crucial difference, Soo-jin said. Other worlds' predators went extinct when their prey became intelligent. Earth's predators learned to hunt the most dangerous game of all, other predators. Humans survived by becoming better at predation than any single species predator could be. Hyun-woo felt pieces clicking into place in his mind. That's why the apex predators recognize us. We're what they were supposed to become. They're evolutionary. Endpoint, Soo-jin agreed. Every apex predator in the galaxy represents a species that could have developed intelligence while retaining their predatory nature. But circumstances prevented them from making that transition. When they look at humans, they see the path their own evolution never completed. Minho had been quietly accessing deeper archive files. "There's something else," he said, his voice troubled. "I'm finding references to a species called the First Hunters in several ancient texts. Different worlds, different time periods, but similar descriptions." "What kind of descriptions?" Soo-jin asked. "Beings that could hunt anything. Anywhere. Masters of strategy and tactics. Some texts describe them as teachers who showed other species how to hunt effectively. Others describe them as guardians who protected prey species from extinction." "Where are they now?" Hyun-woo asked. "Gone. Vanished from the historical record about 50,000 years ago. But look at this." Minho displayed a series of archaeological images. Cave paintings from Rigel Prime, crystal etchings from Vega, and stone carvings from Centauri, all showing the same thing. The images were crude but unmistakable, bipedal figures working alongside various predator species, teaching, hunting, protecting. The figures in the artwork looked remarkably similar to humans. "You think humans are descended from these first hunters?" Hyun-woo asked. "I think humans are the first hunters," Soo-jin said quietly. "Or at least their inheritors. Think about it. Earth is relatively isolated from the main galactic civilizations. If a species of intelligent predators wanted to preserve their lineage, they might seed a remote world with their genetic material." "That's speculation," Minho warned. "We have no concrete evidence." "We have 47 apex predators that recognize humans as kindred spirits," Hyun-woo pointed out. "We have extinction patterns that suggest deliberate intervention. And we have archaeological evidence of ancient hunters who resemble humans." Soo-jin nodded. "Most importantly, we have the fact that humans are the only sapient predator species in known space. The statistical probability of that happening naturally is infinitesimally small." The three researchers sat in silence, contemplating the implications. If their theory was correct, humans weren't just another intelligent species joining galactic civilization. They were the return of something the galaxy had lost long ago. "We need to understand what this means for human-alien relations," Hyun-woo said finally. "If other species realize what we represent, some will see us as protectors," Soo-jin said. "The natural guardians of galactic civilization. Others will see us as the return of their ancient enemies," Minho added darkly. "And the apex predators?" Hyun-woo asked. "They already know what we are," Soo-jin said. "The question is what they expect us to do about it." As if summoned by their conversation, Security Chief So-young's voice came over the intercom. Dr. Kim to security office immediately. We have a situation with multiple biodomes. The predators are all exhibiting unusual behavior patterns simultaneously. Hyun-woo looked at his colleagues. I think we're about to find out what they expect. The three researchers hurried toward the security office, knowing that their theoretical discussions were about to become very practical very quickly. Whatever was happening in the biodomes, it was connected to their research. The apex predators were responding to something, and Hyun-woo had a growing suspicion that they were responding to the presence of humans who finally understood what they truly were. The security office was in chaos when Hyun-woo, Soo-jin, and Min-ho arrived. Multiple screens displayed feeds from biodomes across the station, each showing apex predators in states of unusual agitation. The creatures paced, called out in their various ways, and pressed against their containment barriers as if trying to reach something. Security Chief So-young stood at the center of it all, coordinating response teams while monitoring the situation. When she saw the three researchers enter, her expression was grim. It started an hour ago, she reported. Every apex predator on the station began showing the same behavior pattern simultaneously. They're not aggressive, but they're definitely trying to communicate something. Any idea what triggered it? Soo-jin asked. That's what I was hoping you could tell me. This started shortly after you accessed the first Hunter archives. So-young gestured to one of her officers. Show them the pattern analysis. Officer Tae-hyun Lim pulled up a series of graphs showing the timing of the behavioral changes. All 47 predator species began their unusual activity within a 3-minute window. The probability of coincidence is essentially 0. They're responding to our research, Hyun-woo realized. Somehow they know we've been investigating the connection between humans and predator evolution. How could they know that? So-young asked. Before anyone could answer, a new voice joined the conversation. Because they've been waiting for someone to ask the right questions. Everyone turned to see Commander Do-hyun-yu entering the security office. He was a retired Earth Defense Force officer who now served as the station's military liaison. His presence usually meant serious trouble. Commander, So-young said, I wasn't expecting you. I received an emergency communication from Earth Defense Command, Do-hyun explained. When the Council learned about your predator research, they decided it was time to share some classified information. Do-hyun activated a secure data terminal and entered a series of authorization codes. What I'm about to show you is restricted to Earth defense personnel and selected researchers. The information has been classified for over a century. The main display screen changed to show military files from Earth's archives, combat reports, strategic analyses, and evolutionary studies that Hyun-woo had never seen before. We've known for a long time that humans are different from other galactic species, Do-hyun said. Not just culturally or politically, but fundamentally different in how we approach conflict and survival. The first file showed comparative military strategies across different species. When humans first made contact with galactic civilization, our military analysts studied alien warfare patterns. What they found was disturbing. How so? Min-ho asked. Every alien species fights defensively. Even when they're attacking, their strategies focus on protection, evasion, and survival. They think like prey animals because that's what they are. But humans? Do-hyun pulled up human military history. Battle plans from ancient wars, modern conflict scenarios, and theoretical strategic models. Humans think like pack hunters. We coordinate attacks, use deception and misdirection, exploit weaknesses, and pursue defeated enemies. Our entire approach to warfare is predatory. Soo-jin studied the comparative data. The neural patterns we identified in predator species are present in human military thinking. More than present, Do-hyun corrected. Perfected. Look at these historical examples. The screen showed famous battles throughout human history. Ancient siege warfare, naval tactics, aerial combat, and modern space conflicts. Each example demonstrated sophisticated predatory strategies. The Battle of Cannae. Hannibal used the classic pack-hunting technique of the feigned retreat to surround and destroy a much larger Roman army. The D-Day invasion combined misdirection, coordinated assault, and overwhelming force. Modern human naval tactics mirror wolf pack hunting patterns so closely that we still call submarine groups wolf packs. Hyunwoo was fascinated despite the disturbing implications. We turned warfare into a science. We turned hunting into a science, Do-hyun corrected. And when we ran out of animals to hunt, we started hunting each other. But that's not the most significant part. Do-hyun accessed another file, this one showing recent military exercises involving humans and alien forces. When humans work alongside alien military units, something interesting happens. The aliens become more effective fighters. How? So Young asked. Humans teach them to think like predators, not consciously but by example. Alien units that train with humans develop more aggressive tactics, better coordination, and improved strategic thinking. They start hunting their enemies instead of just defending against them. The implications were staggering. Soo-jin pulled up her own research data. This supports our theory about the first hunters. If humans are their descendants, we might carry genetic memories of advanced predatory behavior. There's more, Do-hyun said. Earth Defense Command has been monitoring alien responses to human military presence for decades. The pattern is consistent across all species. New data appeared on the screens. Diplomatic reports, psychological evaluations, and behavioral studies. When alien species encounter human military forces, they experience what psychologists call genetic recognition. Their behavior changes at a subconscious level. They submit to human authority, Minho observed, reading the reports. Not submit, acknowledge. They recognize us as the alpha predators of the galaxy. Even species that have never seen humans before show immediate deference to human military commanders. So Young was studying the tactical analyses. This explains why human peacekeeping forces are so effective. Other species instinctively trust our judgment in dangerous situations. Because we think like the predators they've been hiding from for millions of years, Hyunwoo said. We understand threats in ways they can't. Do-hyun nodded grimly. Which brings us to why I'm here. The Council has been debating what to do about humans for 50 years. Some species want us as protectors. Others see us as a threat to galactic stability. What kind of threat? Soo-jin asked. The kind that eats civilizations. Do-hyun pulled up historical projections. Computer models suggest that if humans fully embrace their predatory nature, we could dominate the galaxy within a few centuries. Not through conquest, but through natural evolution of authority. The models showed humans gradually taking control of military forces, strategic planning, and resource allocation across galactic civilization. Other species would voluntarily submit to human leadership because their instincts told them to defer to apex predators. The galaxy would become a human hunting preserve, Minho said quietly. Or a human protectorate, Do-hyun countered. The difference depends on whether humans choose to hunt or to guard. Suddenly, alarms began ringing again. Officer Tae-hyun looked up from his monitoring station with alarm. Sir, the predators are responding to this conversation. Their agitation levels are increasing. On the screens, they could see the apex predators becoming more active. The Shadow Stalker was standing at its containment barrier, staring directly at the security cameras. The Void Hunter had materialized fully, its silver eyes focused on the observation windows. Every predator on the station seemed to be listening. They know, Soo-jin whispered. They understand what we're discussing. They're waiting for us to make a choice, Hyunwoo realized. Hunt or guard, predator or protector. Do-hyun checked his communications device. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session. They want to address the human question formally. What kind of session? So Young asked. The kind where they decide whether humans are granted full membership in galactic civilization, placed under protective restrictions, or classified as a potential threat to be contained. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Outside, the apex predators continued their vigil, waiting to see what their long-lost cousins would choose to become. "When is the session?" Hyun-woo asked. "Tomorrow. And they want our research team to present evidence about human-predator connections." Do-hyun looked each of them in the eye. "Whatever we tell the council will determine humanity's future in the galaxy." "No pressure," So-young muttered. As the team began preparing for the most important presentation in human history, the apex predators gradually settled into watchful stillness. They had waited 50,000 years for this moment. They could wait one more day to learn whether the hunt would continue or whether the hunters had finally learned to guard what they once would have devoured. The night before the Galactic Council session, Hyun-woo couldn't sleep. He wandered the station corridors, his mind racing with everything they had discovered. The apex predators had finally settled into quiet watchfulness, but their presence felt heavier than ever. As he passed the biodome section, he decided to check on them one more time. The shadow stalker was awake, sitting motionless in its artificial jungle. When it saw Hyun-woo through the observation window, it approached the barrier and sat down, maintaining eye contact. For several minutes, predator and human studied each other in silence. Couldn't sleep either? Hyun-woo turned to see Security Chief So-young approaching. She looked tired but alert, her hand resting unconsciously on her sidearm. "Just thinking about tomorrow," he replied. "About what we're going to tell the council." "Think they'll believe us?" "The evidence is pretty overwhelming, but believing and accepting are different things." They stood together, watching the shadow stalker watch them. The creature's calm attention was both comforting and unsettling. "So-young," Hyun-woo said quietly, "what do you think humans should choose, hunter or guardian?" Before she could answer, emergency alarms shattered the quiet night. Red lights flashed as the station's emergency protocols activated. The intercom crackled with urgent announcements. "Code Black Emergency. Containment breach. In Biodome 43, all personnel evacuate sectors 7 through 12 immediately. Security teams to emergency stations." So-young was already moving, speaking into her communicator. "This is Security Chief Choi. What's the situation?" "Ma'am, the Void Phantom has escaped containment. The creature exists partially in subspace, so our normal barriers can't hold it. It's moving through the station's lower levels." Hyun-woo felt his blood turn cold. The Void Phantom was the most dangerous predator on the station. Unlike the others, it could phase through most physical barriers and existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. It had never been successfully captured alive by any species. "How did it escape?" So-young demanded as they rushed toward the security office. "Unknown. The containment field just failed. The creature phased out immediately and began hunting." They reached the security office to find chaos. Multiple screens showed the station's internal sensors trying to track a creature that flickered in and out of normal space. The Phantom appeared, as dark shadows moving through corridors, occasionally solidifying enough to register on thermal scans. "Casualty report," So-young ordered. 12 alien personnel in the affected sectors. They all fled when the creature approached, but it's hunting them systematically. The Phantom can track them through subspace." Officer Tae-hyun looked up from his monitoring station. "Ma'am, the creature's movement pattern suggests it's herding the alien personnel toward the main elevator shafts. Classic predator behavior." "Why? Isn't it attacking them directly?" Hyun-woo asked. "Unknown. It has multiple opportunities, but it keeps driving them toward specific locations." So-young studied the tracking displays. "It's playing with them, enjoying the hunt." "Orders, ma'am?" one of the security officers asked. "Evacuate all non-human personnel from the affected sectors. Seal the areas and prepare containment teams." So-young paused, considering options. "And get me a direct line to Commander Do-hyun." As the security team coordinated evacuation efforts, Hyun-woo watched the Phantom's movements on the screens. The creature was magnificent and terrifying, flowing through the station like living shadow. But something about its behavior seemed familiar. "So young," he said slowly. "What if the Phantom isn't hunting randomly?" "What do you mean?" "Look at the pattern. It's not just hurting the alien personnel. It's avoiding areas where humans are present." So Young studied the tracking data more carefully. "You're right. It passed within meters of engineering section. See, but there are 3 human technicians there. It didn't even investigate. It knows the difference between humans and aliens." Commander Do-hyun arrived as they reached this conclusion. He assessed the situation quickly. His military training, evident in his calm efficiency. "Standard containment isn't going to work," he said after reviewing the data. "The Phantom exists in subspace. We need someone who can approach it directly." "Sir?" Officer Tae-hyun asked. "We need a human to make contact with it." "That's suicide," So-young protested. "The creature is an apex predator. It's killed researchers from multiple species." "Alien researchers," Do-hyun corrected. "Has it ever killed a human?" The question hung in the air. They all knew the answer. No apex predator in galactic history had ever killed a human. But the Void Phantom was different, more dangerous than any creature they had studied. "I'll do it," Hyunwoo said. "Absolutely not," So-young replied immediately. "You're a scientist, not a security officer." "But I'm human, and I understand predator behavior better than anyone else on this station." Do-hyun considered this. "What's your plan?" "No plan. Just contact. If our theory is correct, the Phantom will recognize me as a fellow predator. If we're wrong," Hyunwoo shrugged. "Well, we'll find out quickly." After 10 minutes of argument, So-young finally agreed to let Hyunwoo attempt contact, but only with full security backup and emergency extraction protocols in place. They tracked the Phantom to Corridor 7G, where it had cornered 2 Rigelian engineers. The creature was toying with them, appearing and disappearing in front of their hiding place. The Rigelians were paralyzed with species-level terror. Hyunwoo approached the corridor entrance, his heart pounding but his mind calm. He could feel the predatory focus settling over him like a familiar coat. This was what humans were designed for. This was their inheritance. "Phantom," he called out in a clear, steady voice. "I'm here." The creature's movement stopped immediately. The corridor fell silent except for the terrified breathing of the trapped Rigelians. Slowly, the Phantom began to materialize. It was beautiful and terrible, roughly humanoid in shape, but composed of shifting darkness and silver light. Its eyes were like stars in the void, ancient and knowing. When it looked at Hyunwoo, he felt a moment of perfect recognition. The Phantom approached him slowly, its form becoming more solid with each step. When it was close enough to touch, it stopped and tilted its head in a gesture that reminded Hyunwoo of the Shadow Stalker. "You're not hunting," Hyunwoo said quietly. "You're testing," the creature's star-bright eyes fixed on his face. For a moment that felt like eternity, predator regarded predator. Then slowly, the Phantom stepped aside and gestured toward the trapped Rigelians. "You want me to handle this," Hyunwoo realized. He walked past the Phantom to where the 2 Rigelians huddled in terror. "It's okay," he told them. "The danger is over. You can leave now." The Rigelians looked at him in amazement, then at the Phantom, which had moved to a respectful distance. Slowly, carefully, they emerged from their hiding place and hurried toward the corridor exit. The Phantom watched them go, then turned back to Hyunwoo. Without any visible communication, the creature began walking toward the biodome section. It moved with purpose, no longer the chaotic hunter, but a being with a destination in mind. "It's going home," Hyunwoo said into his communicator. "Follow us, but keep your distance." They walked through the station corridors together, apex, predator, and human, while security teams tracked their progress. Other station personnel watched in amazement as the most dangerous creature in galactic captivity calmly accompanied a human scientist back to its containment. At Biodome 43, the Phantom paused at the entrance to its habitat. It looked at Hyun-woo one more time, and he could swear he saw something like approval in those stellar eyes. "Until next time," Hyun-woo said softly. The Phantom phased through the containment barrier and disappeared into its artificial environment. Within minutes, the containment systems had reactivated and the creature was secure. "Report," So-young said as she and the security team arrived. "No injuries, no casualties. The Phantom is contained." Hyun-woo looked at the monitoring displays, showing the creature settled peacefully in its dome. "I think it was making a point." "What kind of point?" Do-hyun asked. "That the choice between hunter and guardian isn't really a choice at all. True apex predators protect their territory and everything in it. The Phantom was showing us how to hunt the right way." As they returned to the security office, Hyun-woo felt something fundamental had changed. The test was over, and somehow he had passed. Tomorrow, when they faced the Galactic Council, they would have one more piece of evidence about what humans truly were. The apex predators of the galaxy had rendered their verdict. Humans weren't just fellow hunters. They were the hunters who had learned to guard what they could have devoured. And in a galaxy full of prey species, that made them the most valuable predators of all. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive spherical room designed to accommodate representatives from dozens of different species. Floating platforms held delegates from across known space, while holographic displays showed those participating remotely. At the center of it all, a single platform waited for the human delegation. Ambassador Taemin Park stood calmly as he reviewed his notes one final time. Beside him, Hyun-woo felt the weight of representing his entire species. The research team had worked through the night preparing their presentation, knowing that the next few hours would determine humanity's place in galactic civilization. "Citizens of the galaxy," announced Counselor Veltar of the Centauri Collective, his blue skin pale with obvious concern. "We gather today to address what many consider the most significant question in modern galactic history: the nature and role of the human species." The chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives whispered among themselves, while security forces from multiple worlds maintained careful positions around the room. Everyone understood the stakes. "The evidence presented over recent days suggests that humans represent something unprecedented in our civilization," Veltar continued. "A sapient species descended from apex predators rather than prey animals. The implications of this discovery require careful consideration." Ambassador Park stepped forward. "Honored counselors, we appreciate the opportunity to address these concerns directly. Dr. Hyun-woo Kim will present our findings, followed by our proposal for moving forward." Hyun-woo activated the central holographic display, showing the research data they had compiled. "Counselors, our investigation began with a simple behavioral study. We discovered that apex predators from across the galaxy show consistent recognition patterns when encountering humans. The display showed footage from their experiments. The Shadow Stalker's calm interaction with Ambassador Park, the Void Hunter's respectful attention, and dozens of other encounters where deadly predators acknowledged humans as equals rather than prey. These creatures don't fear us and they don't hunt us," Hyun-woo explained. "They recognize us as fellow apex predators. This recognition appears to be instinctive, suggesting deep evolutionary connections." Counselor Zephyra of the Rigelian hierarchy raised a concern. "Dr. Kim, you speak of recognition, but what of dominance? If humans are predators, as you suggest, what prevents them from hunting us?" "An excellent question," Hyun-woo replied. "The answer lies in understanding what apex predators actually do in healthy ecosystems." The display changed to show ecological data from multiple worlds. True apex predators don't hunt everything they encounter. They maintain territorial balance, eliminate threats to the ecosystem, and protect resources necessary for long-term survival. They hunt when necessary, but their primary role is guardianship. Pretty words, interrupted Counselor Drexhan of the Vegan Crystal Communes. But human history shows constant warfare and aggression. How do we know you won't turn these instincts against us? Ambassador Park stepped forward. Because we already have the opportunity, and we haven't taken it. The statement created a stir in the chamber. Ambassador Park continued calmly. For over 50 years, humans have served in galactic military forces, peacekeeping operations, and security roles. We have been trusted with weapons, strategic information, and the protection of multiple species. If we intended conquest, we could have achieved it decades ago. Commander Do Hyun activated a new display showing human military service records. Human forces have participated in 43 peacekeeping operations, resolved 18 territorial disputes, and prevented 12 potential wars. In every case, we have returned authority to local species once stability was restored. Furthermore, Ambassador Park added, last night's incident with the Void Phantom demonstrates the true nature of the human-predator relationship. Hyun-woo described the containment breach and his interaction with the Phantom. The creature tested me, then showed deference when I prioritized protecting other station personnel. This pattern is consistent across all our interactions with apex predators. They respect humans who choose guardianship over dominance. Counselor Mel Andra of the Andromedan Trade Federation leaned forward. You ask us to trust that humans will continue choosing protection over predation. But what guarantees do we have? What prevents future human generations from embracing their hunting instincts? The same thing that prevents any species from destroying itself, Dr. Sujin said, joining the presentation. Evolutionary survival instinct, a predator that devours. Its entire ecosystem destroys itself. Humans understand this at a genetic level. She displayed comparative psychological profiles. Our research shows that humans experience deep satisfaction from successful protection of others. This isn't learned behavior. It's hardwired into our neural structure. We evolved as pack hunters who protected our territory and everything in it. The galaxy has become our territory, Ambassador Park said simply, and every species in it has become part of our pack. Counselor Veltar called for a recess to allow delegates to discuss the presentation. For 2 hours, representatives debated while the human delegation waited. When the session resumed, the chamber's atmosphere had grown more tense. We have reached preliminary conclusions, Veltar announced. However, there remains significant disagreement about how to proceed. Counselor Drexhan spoke first. The vegan communes believe humans should be classified as a protected species with restricted military access. Their predatory nature makes them too dangerous for unrestricted participation in galactic affairs. The Rigelian hierarchy disagrees, Counselor Zephyra countered. Human military effectiveness has proven invaluable in maintaining galactic stability. However, we propose formal oversight of human military operations. The Andromedan Trade Federation supports full human integration, Counselor Mel Andra declared, but with mandatory psychological monitoring to ensure continued adherence to protective rather than predatory behavior. As the debate continued, Hyun-woo noticed something on the chamber's external displays. The apex predators on Station Epsilon 7 had gathered at their observation windows, all facing toward the council chamber's direction. They were watching, waiting for the verdict. Ambassador Park requested permission to make a final statement. Honored counselors, we understand your concerns, but we propose a different approach entirely. What approach? Veltar asked. The Apex Protocol. Humans accept formal responsibility for managing dangerous predator species and protecting prey-evolved civilizations. In exchange, we receive the authority necessary to fulfill these responsibilities effectively. The chamber erupted in discussion. Ambassador Park continued over the noise. We propose that humans serve as the galaxy's apex predators, in the truest sense. We protect the ecosystem, maintain balance, and eliminate threats. But we do so under formal council oversight with regular evaluation of our performance. You're asking us to make you our guardians, Councillor Drexhan said. We're asking you to let us be what we already are, Ambassador Park replied. The difference is making it official and establishing accountability. Dr. Sujin added, Every apex predator on Station Epsilon 7 has been watching this session through live feeds. They're waiting to see if we accept our role as protectors. If we do, they've indicated willingness to work with human handlers in managing dangerous situations. Indicated how? Veltar asked. They've all moved to positions where they can see the communication arrays, Hyunwoo explained. They understand what's happening here, and they're showing support for human authority. The revelation that the apex predators themselves were endorsing human leadership created another wave of discussion. After additional debate, Veltar called for a formal vote. All in favor of establishing the Apex Protocol, with humans serving as Galactic Predator Management Specialists under Council. Oversight? The vote was closer than expected, but the motion passed. 37 species voted in favor, 12 voted against, and 6 abstained. The motion carries, Veltar announced. Humanity is hereby granted authority to manage apex predator species and dangerous wildlife throughout galactic civilization. This authority comes with the responsibility to protect all member species and maintain ecological balance. Ambassador Park bowed formally. We accept this responsibility with full understanding of its implications. As the session concluded, Hyunwoo felt a profound shift in how he saw humanity's future. They weren't just another species joining galactic civilization. They were the species that would protect all the others. 6 months later, Hyunwoo stood in the command center of the new Predator Management Institute. Through the massive viewing windows, he could see human teams working alongside apex predators from dozens of worlds. The Shadow Stalker served as a training partner for new human handlers. The Void Phantom had become a specialist in tracking dangerous escapees. Even the Plasma Worm had found a role in asteroid mining operations. Any regrets? Dr. Ji-won asked, joining him at the window. None, Hyunwoo replied, watching a human trainee successfully communicate with a crystal stalker. We finally know what we are. And what are we? Hyunwoo smiled. We're the hunters who learned to guard what we could have devoured. In a galaxy full of prey species, that makes us the most important predators of all.